Will the virtuous Sangha, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tặng thịnh, vì thứ pháp hội cập nhật thiết chúng sanh, tịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân, giáo đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát tư, ly khổ đắc lạc, tất chướng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sa Đan Thô Su Chê Đô Ye Ơ La Hờ Đi San Miao San Pu Tô Xie. Nam mô Tát Đắc Tha Tô Già Đa Già A La Ha Đế Tam Miệu Tam Bồ Đà Tòa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma, 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I am able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one true and actual principles. Wu sheng 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 wei miao fa, bai jian wan jian an zao yu, wo jin jian wen de shou chi, yun jie ru lai zheng shi yin. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Jingliang, Venerable Shenhua, Venerable Lafong people, and all good Nung advisors, Emituofo. Chư Phật菩萨, 精良大士、师父上人、各位持家人、各位善知识，阿弥陀佛。Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thưa Hòa thượng Thanh Lương, Hòa thượng Điền Hóa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone. Today is the 1st of May, 2021. Thank you all for coming. We're here to discuss the preface to the Avatamsaka Sutra, written by Master Jingliang. All right. Let me see. We're presently on slide, towards the end of the preface, on slide 196. Today we just had a very good lunch, and I can see that's why everyone look a little bit sleepy, but happily sleepy. It's a fun experience because I learned the Dharma from a Chinese. So I've been to a lot of Chinese temples, especially my master's temples, and many more Chinese temples and Taiwanese temples. And at lunchtime, at mealtime when we eat, usually you don't hear sound. Okay, people don't talk. They are eating in samadhi. So eating for the Chinese in particular is a cultivation process where you maintain your samadhi. Whereas for some reason at our way places, it's very noisy, like Grand Central Market in downtown Los Angeles. That's how it seems like to me. It's people laugh, people talk, and they linger around. They get full, but they sit there, and then they keep on talking and eating. So I must admit, we're not cultivators at all. Okay? I'm sorry. We are goofing off. Okay? But on the other hand, it's a different approaches. The Chinese, the true cultivators, we're not. Okay? The reason that when you eat, you want to be quiet. Oh, in Korea, you guys talk too, or you guys eat in silence? You talk too? How disgusting. You're not true cultivators at all. I remember going to Korean temples, there's no sound either, right? People don't talk in the real Korean temples. Am I correct? Sunims? Yes or no?
Yes, Master.
Yes, meaning they talk or they don't talk?
Quiet. Don't talk.
They don't talk?
Yeah.
Okay. It must be shocking to you that we're so noisy. Okay. So why the difference? Okay. It's a difference in the way you approach cultivation. Okay. The traditionally Wei-Yang Dharma, the Wei-Yang training is from a Chinese, and the typical Wei-Yang lunch hall is very quiet as per the tradition. You eat in samadhi. You don't dissipate your mind. So even if the food is very good, very tasty, you're supposed to retain your samadhi power. Okay? It doesn't work for me. I give up. As soon as it tastes good, my mind gets scattered. I want to enjoy it. Okay? So what do we do then? We lose in samadhi power, but then we don't practice samadhi power when we eat. That's the difference. Okay? What are we practicing? Anyone? What Dharma are we practicing when we eat and we laugh and joke and be noisy and so forth? What Dharma are we practicing? Okay, you don't know, so let me teach you. Okay, let me justify ourselves. In other words, we are this way because, again, first of all, we're goofballs. It's hard enough every week to go to work and then suffer at work. And for you to go to the temple and suffer some more, that doesn't make sense to me. Okay, thank you so much. Did you enjoy the meal? Huh? Yeah, like the donuts. Okay, so you. And that's what I admire about the Chinese system and the real cultivators. It's true that you should be practicing your concentration power, which is the proper way of cultivating. It's true. However, I noticed that those places, many places I've been, when they concentrate on the samadhi power, they forget developing something that's much more important than concentration power. This is much more important. You can have concentration power, but it doesn't mean that you become enlightened if you're lacking this. Does anyone know what do you need in order to become enlightened? Okay. In order to become enlightened, you need to have compassion. That's required. Okay. If your heart doesn't have compassion, you will not become enlightened. That's not possible. Number one. Number two, if your heart doesn't have enough compassion, what happens? I observed this already at my master's temples. They're enlightened, but they don't have enough compassion. So what happens? The level of enlightenment is not that high. The higher you reach, the higher levels of enlightenment, especially like great bodhisattvas, they have great compassion. Much higher level of compassion than we do. Okay? So, to me, if you are low level, it's important to practice samadhi. Okay? However, that's because you're not sure you make it. Okay? But if the Dharma that you practice is more focused on developing compassion, I found it to be a lot faster than developing samadhi power. Okay, that's why. So how are we practicing compassion while we eat? Huh? Anyone else? Okay. You practice compassion by being kind. That's a requirement. If you're not kind, you cannot be compassionate. So what do? When we eat, we're kind to our neighbors. The person sits next to you. Be kind and share a good meal. Share a good feeling. That's kindness. Okay? And enjoy yourself. That's being kind to the cooks. Kind to the people who make the effort to bring good food to you, to share the good food with us. That's being kind to them. That's all they ask. They ask that we enjoy ourselves. So to me, it's perfectly okay to enjoy yourselves. Okay? And as you enjoy yourself, the joy spreads. Okay? And that's part of kindness as well. Okay? So when you're kind like that, okay, we like to put more emphasis, particular. We like to be kinder to our spouses, show to our family members, to our mothers, our children, to our wives, our husbands. Show them that you're happier and you're more joyful than normal. Okay? You're happy they're here because they will get a lot more benefits they realize themselves. Okay? And so you're happy for them. You're happy they're here. It's that simple of a joy. Okay? And if you do that, then you're developing naturally this compassion because you realize that life is hard. Life can be overwhelming. Life can be very tough. Okay? So being kind to people is actually helping you develop compassion. All right? So those are 3 out of 4 practices from a Mahayana perspective. The 4 pillars of Mahayana practices are kindness, compassion, joy, and renunciation. Is that clear? So we're practicing 3. Okay? We're practicing kindness, which brings compassion. Okay? We make the effort. I remind you again, make the effort to be kinder and to be nicer to your family, to your loved ones, to your friends. You're happy they're here. Okay? And so that's the joy right there you're sharing. Okay? And finally, the renunciation, we don't practice that. We enjoy ourselves. Forget it. Okay? Renunciation is for a different time, different place, not at lunch. Can you imagine you eating and you practicing renunciation? There's something wrong with you. Okay? Eating for me is to enjoy ourselves. Nothing wrong with that. Okay? All right, so 3 out of 4 ain't bad. That's what we are. Okay? And questions or comments? YouTube comment, better be positive.
Alta-D says, if someone cooks your food and you're not showing your enjoyment of it, it can hurt their feelings.
Is there a point? I don't necessarily look at how good the food is. I look at the kindness of the person who offers the food to me. It makes a big difference. I remember going to Chinese restaurants. I don't know about you. I don't like going to Chinese restaurants because the waiter and waitresses are so rude. They throw the food out. Here's your food, eat it. And don't bother me. That's what happens at Chinese restaurants. That's why. Any problem with you Chinese people? A Chinese person says, I totally agree. All right. So I find it so enjoyable, our lunches, is because I really see that our people really enjoy themselves. It's like a celebration for them. For whatever celebration they're celebrating, we don't know, but I will tag along just for the ride. Okay, who cares? There's lots of things in life I don't understand. It doesn't matter. And then I see the children; they're happy too themselves. It's good for you adults to say, "Hey, come! Have you tried this before? It's so cute, so charming." Okay, and then at times I will heard that some of the wives complain that the husbands are developing a tummy. Okay, so we'll worry about moderations later. Okay. All right. That's why. All right, but today we're not here to discuss how we eat lunch. We're here to discuss this preface of the sutra, this wonderful sutra. 196, let's jump right into it, okay? It acts for late and ancient as a constant rule. Were we here before? Okay. What are we talking about? Sorry, I forgot. Okay, so this sutra is talking about sutras. Sutras are very profound teachings from the Buddhas. In particular, sutras are actually very important guidelines. Okay, that's what is meant by a constant rule. A rule is like a square in modern days. When you do carpentry, you keep things square. That's how you can join them easily, keep them straight. Okay, and so those are the rules that enables you to keep things orderly and in connection with each other. Okay, and so those are the rules, the sutras are constant rules. Constant meaning that these rules will be applicable whether for ancient times as well as for modern days. Okay, same rules. What are the rules? Sutras will tell you about propriety, tell you about fairness, tell you about cause and effect. All these are universal and timeless words of wisdom that the Buddha taught. For whom? For people like us. Okay, amazingly. Okay, the reason initially I was fascinated by Buddhism was this. Okay, I discovered Buddhism, Mahayana, especially my masters, Master Shinhua's Dharma, late in my life. So I live a full life with plenty of heartaches and joy and disappointments as well as jubilations. Okay, and I found that intellectually, the Buddhist principles, especially from sutras, are very, very fascinating, very insightful, a lot more than the stuff I learned. Mind you, I did have a master's degree, okay, at a good university, and so I intellectually I found even more stimulating than what I learned in school. And what's more interesting to me is that whenever I was troubled, okay, whenever I had a problem I could not solve, okay, and I could rack my brains and nothing works, and I happen to read a sutra or my master's Dharma talks, okay, it has a couple of effects. Number one, it calmed down my mind. Okay? It's so interesting that your mind switched from worries, from anxiety, to the words of wisdom. Okay? So it's very, very quick. I mean, it has the effect. That's what amazed me, is that it was able to help me ease the strain, the burden on my mind, number one. And then naturally, okay, quite often, more often than not, 60-70% of the time, okay, after my mind calmed down, gave me relief for that, the answer came to me. The answer to my problems came to me. That's what fascinated me, honestly. Nothing like that ever happened to me. Okay, and it's weird because it's something that Master Shinho or the Buddha, Master Shinho talked about 40, 50 years ago to someone else, or the Buddha spoke 3,000 years ago to other people. Okay, and yet they're so helpful for my own problems. Okay, so that's why it is a proof to me that the Buddhist teachings, the Buddha's wisdom is applicable. It's timeless. That's what the meaning of constant is. Okay, in particular, the Buddha taught something that's very difficult to understand. Now that I become a professional monk, something called the rules of morality. Sanskrit name is Vinaya, okay, where we learn the rules of morality, we learn the rules of comportment, okay, how to carry ourselves, how to walk, how to talk, how to stand, how to sit, and so forth, those rules, okay, and particular, more precisely, rules of what's right and wrong, okay, and I found them to be still applicable nowadays. Okay, actually, they are more useful nowadays than before, in the times when the Buddha was speaking them for his disciples. Okay, so the Buddhist teaching really is timeless. So that's the meaning of the constant rule. So these guidelines will be useful to us throughout time. And those are rules of behavior, rules of that will help us get along better and get what we want. Okay, so it's for all times, for late and ancient. Ancient meaning in the past, way past. Okay, all the way back to the beginning of time, and late meaning now. For us, it's called late Dharma ending age, where we're learning about this type of wisdom that kind of late. Okay, we should have learned it earlier. Okay, so that's why this wisdom, the Buddha's wisdom, is truly, truly timeless, and that comes from the sutras. The sutras contain the deepest level of wisdom from the Buddhas. Okay. By the way, the scholars and people like to tell me that there are three types of stores in Buddhism: Vinaya, rules of morality and propriety, and comportment, and sutras and shastras. Okay, and they say that the Vinaya is taught by the Buddha, rules of propriety. Sutras are taught by the Buddha, that's about the Buddha's wisdom. And then Shastra are commentaries made by the Bodhisattvas. So supposedly, when you learn from a Chinese, from the Asian Buddhism, they would say that you want to study samadhi, you study sutras. You want to study wisdom, you study shastras. Okay? And I found that to be misleading. Because to me, the wisdom contained in the shastras is not as profound as the wisdom contained in sutras. Why is that? Does anyone know? It's because shastras are written by the bodhisattvas. They are low-level wisdom than the Buddhas. How can his disciples' wisdom be higher than the Buddha's teaching? Come on. So you see, it's a lot of things I learned originally from the Chinese system. They keep on saying these things, and I later found to be untrue. Okay, that's why sutras really, in particular this sutra, the Avatamsaka Sutra, has the most profound wisdom, Buddhist wisdom there is. All right, questions? 197. Preface text. The Buddha and all kings are called world rulers. Dharmador, dependent, and proper are both styled wonderful adornments.
佛及诸王并称世主，法门依正，具曰妙言。
All right, 198. Commentary. The Buddha and all kings are called world rulers. Okay. These society are organized and must be kept orderly, and that's why we need rulers. We need leaders. Okay, we need rulers. We need presidents. We need the Secretary General and so forth. Okay, and that's what the Buddhas and kings are supposed to do. The Buddha rules his Buddha land, and the king rules his kingdom. And when you talk about world, there are three kinds of worlds: object worlds, living beings world, and wisdom and proper enlightenment. Okay? Object worlds are material things outside of us, the mountain, the cars, and the bread. Okay, and those are ruled by the king. Number two, living beings world, meaning that all living things, whether it's amoeba, all the way to the gods. Okay. They are ruled by King Yama. Okay, meaning that King Yama rules the underworld and God rules our human realm, for example. Those are the rulers. Like it or not, after you die, okay, you fall under the jurisdiction of King Yama, most of us. Okay, and that's what most people don't know. Okay, yeah. King Yama will then decide where we're gonna go next, what body you're gonna have next. Okay, and while you're alive, then all of us humans, by the way, are under the rules of the gods. Okay, in particular, we are ruled by the Christian God. He oversees us. All right? And number 3, the wisdom on proper enlightenment. That's another type of world where the Buddha is the ruler. That's a different kind of world that one day you will know what it is. All right? It's different from the object world and from living beings world. So far, so good. 199. Dharma doors, dependent and proper, are both style, wonderful adornments. Dharma doors are Buddhist jargons. They refer to the methods of practice. What's a Dharma door? A door leads you to a different area that's separate from you, from where you are. That's why it's called a door. You have to go through a door to get a different area, different space. You close the door, you're separate from that. You're separated from that. And that's why that's why the concept of Dharma door is very important. Buddhism, that is the place where you go from confusion, from chaos to enlightenment, to order. Okay, you go from suffering, go through these different access points to bring you to liberation, bring you to joy. All right. So Buddhism is about 2 things. Number 1, explain to you that there are happy places, if you will, very happy places where there's no suffering whatsoever. They're called nirvana. Okay, and that's a different world from us. And in order to get to those happy places, okay, you can't simply go to McDonald's. What were they called over there? Happy playground or something like that? No? Oh, never mind. You don't go to McDonald's? You guys are so boring. Happy Meal? No. No, there's some playground with lots of, I see plastic balls, different colors. I like those things. No? Okay, never mind. So you go to nirvana where you'll be very, very happy. And where you are right now is a lot of stress, there's a lot of sickness, and lots of frustrations. And you go from here to the place in nirvana, and you go through these different doors that you can access the happy places. Okay, those different doors are called Dharma doors. So those are the pathways. Okay, through these doors that bring you to liberation, bring you to true happiness. Okay, so this that's what Dharma doors are. So the monks and nuns are supposed to guide you in choosing the proper pathways to reach those happy medium. Okay, and dependent. Next word, next jargon is dependent. Dependent refers to retribution, meaning that the results that you earned, okay, from your prior karmas. In the past, you created some karmas, and now whatever happens to you is your retribution. Okay, and the material world as we know it is called dependent retribution. Dependent retribution, because, for example, you're rich today is because in the past you planted the cause to be rich. What did you do? You practice giving. That's the primary reason why you're rich today, is because you practice giving in the past. Okay. People of the world are confused. They think you're rich because you rob a bank. okay? Or you marry into rich, okay? That's just the surface. The real reason is that you're rich because you have the blessings to be rich. And the blessings to be rich came from your giving practices in the past. So in Buddhism, the Buddhist wisdom is very simple. The Buddha taught that if you give, okay, you never lose. You steal, you always lose. Isn't that interesting? It's just contrary to my upbringing. For me, in my prior life, until I happened upon Mahayana, to me, being smart is to take before it's taken, before someone else takes it. What's the matter with you? Are you stupid or something? You don't take it, someone else will. And Buddhism is not like that. Buddhism, we believe that if you think about it, the truth is that if you steal from others, if they don't owe you, then chances are that you cannot hang on to the stolen goods. Okay? Whereas if they owe you because you give them in the past, okay, then that's part of your blessings. You don't need to steal. Okay? They give it to you anyway. All right? So the dependent retribution, the world you live in, the reason that you have a nice house, the reason that you make a lot of money is from your blessings. The blessings are the results of your past causes, most namely your giving practices in the past. Okay? So because of that, you have abundant dependent retribution. It's not because you're smart. Let's face it. The professor is much smarter than most successful entrepreneurs, and yet they're not rich. You see, smarts is not a necessary condition for being rich. Having blessings is the direct link between you and riches. Okay. Is everyone awake? I feel I'm talking to a wall. It was no one is moving, and this is not even a trance session. Hey, what happened to the spirit of eating lunch, huh? Now you know. You see, these people are weird. They practice samadhi during lectures. Okay, so the dependent retribution is material things yet you depend on for your existence, okay, for your success. It's called dependent retribution. Yes, yellow.
Master, I have a question. Could your blessing be going to the right temple where the monk and nun are cultivate diligently and they're not messing around? So because you go to the temple and you are there to support, that's why your blessing also come from that?
Okay. How can you go, the question, let me rephrase it to make it clearer, see if it can be a little bit clearer. You're asking that if I can find a temple where I can go and the monks and nuns actually cultivate and actually are doing beneficial things for me, okay? For that to happen, what did I do? Is that the question? No?
My question is, could the blessing be from people who come to the temple, support the monk and nun who are like helping out the temple, but because of that, they also get the blessing of wealth and other.
They get the blessing of wealth. Oh, excuse me, that's all you're worried about. Excuse me, yeah. I thought we practicing renunciation. Anyway, yeah, okay, absolutely. One of the things that we don't advertise, I'm glad you asked, is that the first thing that has happened to you is when you practice Mahayana, you need to generate a lot of blessings. Okay? All kinds of blessings. Okay? In particular, wealth is one of them. Okay? So naturally, you need to generate a lot of wealth, a lot of material blessings, among which is monetary, all those types of blessings in terms of money, in terms of houses, in terms of cars, in terms of clothing, in terms of all those things are what you will generate from the from your practicing at the proper temples. Absolutely. Okay? And the reason we don't talk about that is because if we talk about that, it sounds as if we're advertising ourselves. Okay? So in Mahayana, we don't talk about it. Okay? Case in point, I'll give you an example. The material wealth is important, is an important part of your life. Okay? You cannot possibly meditate if you have to worry about how you're going to pay for your rent this month, how you're going to pay for your mortgage this month. If you have that kind of worries, forget it. You will not be able to do Chan. So part of the Dharma door of Chan is that we need to help you generate all the necessary blessings, okay, for you to practice properly. Similarly, for example, if you want to go to the Pure Land, okay, you go to the Pure Land, you won't ever have to work again. You have to pay for the airfare, which is very far. The Western Bliss Pure Land is very far from where we are. Okay? So in order to go there, you require a lot of blessings as well. So those people who practice the Pure Land Dharma door also need to generate the proper blessings in order to make it. Okay? So that's why in Mahayana practices, all these Mahayana practices, the first thing you do is you will generate a lot of blessings, all kinds of blessings. And the proof is that the way we train our people. For example, you go to the Hinayana temples. Okay, they know to teach you about meditation. Yes? Or you call the Theravadan temples. Don't get offended. Okay, you want me to call the Theravada, I call Theravada. I have no problems. Okay, calling whatever it is. Okay, whatever you want me to call it. But you go, so the Hinayana teachings is more based on meditation. Okay, and whereas Mahayana, when I started teaching Chan meditation, I also taught people to meditate as well. Okay, but it's because of the pressure from the Hinayana meditation methods. But as soon as people became more aware of it, more believing in the Chan Dharma door or the Pure Land Dharma door, what do? We go back to basics. We teach you and them about giving. That's the first thing you learn. In Mahayana, you learn about giving. Okay? You give. Okay? So Mahayana foundation is giving. You don't take, you give. Okay? When you give, it has a way of opening your heart. Okay? That's what I find deplorable, that my own parents, my generation, we don't teach the children properly. We teach our children to be smart, to learn and get good grades and so forth, but we don't teach them about how to be a good person. If you're smart, okay, you take more than you give. Yes or no? You're really smart, you're supposed to take more than you give. That's part of being smart. Agree or disagree? So inherently, in our education, in the way we train our children, we teach them to be selfish. And when you're selfish, you cannot be happy. You cannot possibly ever be happy. Try, if you want to be happy, try not being selfish for a change, you see. Okay? Yeah. Because can you ever imagine that you're happy, that you have a nice car, you're happy you have a lot of money, you're happy that you have a good education, you're happy you have a great job? Should I go on? You have all that, those, right? Right? Don't nod your heads. I said, no, not yet. Okay? You're not greedy enough, young man. So you have all those good things. And then what happens? You walk and wait at a red light in a corner of San Francisco. And what happens? Someone looks at you, oh, you Asian, they come and attack you and rob you. Because they're unhappy that you're happy and you're Asian. Think about it. My point being that happiness cannot be, you cannot be happy and live in an island. That's not possible. Might as well be dead. Okay? Happiness has to be shared. Think about it. Can you be happy and your mom be unhappy? Okay, that doesn't work. That's the case. That's the way it is nowadays, right? Mom, you don't neglect me. I say, Mom, come on. Can you be happy? This, I'm sure that you understand this point. Can you be happy and your wife is unhappy? Impossible. I will tell you that right now from experience, okay? When I was younger, I got married thinking my wife would make me happy. I ended up being divorced because I demanded too much. Okay? So that's why I advise you now, men, be careful. Let's not worry about our wives making us happy. Let's make them happy first. Yes, I know. I'm dishonest, but no comment. Yeah. Oh well. Next topic. So anyway, so you have, so in Mahayana, the foundation of success is to accrue blessings, and you accrue blessings by giving. Okay? Yes, yellow.
So the success of a person depends on the past blessings. What about success of companies or countries? Are they depend on the blessings of the people or the leader of those entities?
It's a lot more complicated. When you talk about success of a company, primarily the success of companies are from the founders. Okay? It's the founders who get rich. Not us small investors. We don't matter. It's the Bezos and the Buffett. That's their blessings. Okay? We just along for the ride, that's all. We get 10 million, they get 100 billion. That's life. You see? So they have a bigger piece of the pie, so therefore it all comes from them, not from us. We basically are assistants. We're assisting them, that's all. And taking a free ride from them, that's all. Okay? So usually it's the founders, okay? So that's a simple explanation. There's a lot more involved than that. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, yellow.
Master, thank you. May I please ask, what can we do to help people who doesn't have enough blessing? Because I have tried to get my family member to go to our temple, but many times even I drive them halfway and there's something have to stop and they can't come to the temple.
If I knew, our temple would be a lot bigger. So you cannot believe what I tell you, okay? I mean, let's be truthful about this here. I wish I knew, okay, is the answer. No, it's not that. It's not, part of the learning process is part of our practice is to try. And whatever happens, happens. Okay, it's just like the Christians, the Catholics say God works in mysterious ways, and Buddhists too, from what I know. Okay, so we try our best. And so what happened is that the question proves that you are attached to results. Okay, and that's what you should pay attention to. What we do is that in our practices in Mahayana, we give. So the fact you want your family members, your family, to more of them to come to the temple and more of them to get more benefits, that in itself is good enough. And you try your best, and that's it. And whatever happens, will happen. That's way beyond your control and my control. Okay, so we give. In other words, so we want good things to happen to the people we care about. Okay, so we practice giving on their behalf, and whenever they reap the benefits, let it be. So we can't say, "How come I keep on giving and nothing? I don't see anything happening." Okay, would you believe that sometimes we need to, in other words, have smaller failures first before you get the big successes? Okay? So you can't say, oh, how come I've been investing, I've been making sacrifices for my family, I don't see anything. If it were the case, if Mahayana is such that we tell you, give us $100, you get $10,000 back, $100,000 back, which is the case. When you give to Master YongHua, for example, that happens. It's a truth, it's a fact. If you say that, then we basically are providing you with a guarantee, okay? So we're selling ourselves. So the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas are not like that. If you are like that, then the Catholics and the non-Buddhists will be starving to death. Okay? because our multiplier is a lot higher than theirs. That's a fact. We know that. But it also has to do with when you're going to see those benefits. Yeah? Case in point, for you, never mind about your family, you look at the people here today, the monks and nuns, look at them, they're beggars. And yet you know that most of them, well, all of them have more blessings than you, for sure. Okay? It's very difficult to be a monk. You need a lot more blessings than you can imagine. Okay? And they have so many blessings that what happens to the people who have so many blessings is that part of the blessings is such that they don't waste them. See, you are blessing, you want to see them. The people who are so blessed, they don't want you to know that they have blessings at all. Okay? So, to me, I keep on telling you that the best kind of blessings are the kind of blessings that will show up, will manifest when you need them. Not before, not after. At the right time only. Okay? So, for example, for you to be so rich, then there is Master YongHua says, my late Chinese teacher says, if you have $1, then you have $1 more worth of suffering. Okay, it's very true. Think about it. You have money, you need to buy into those cryptocurrencies. Yes? I keep on hearing you talk about that. I made so much money, and also you lose a lot of money when it fluctuates. Yes? Okay, so you see, you have these worries. You have money worries. You have no money, you have no money worries. That's why the real blessing is when it happens when you need it. Okay? Having said that, I wouldn't mind driving a convertible BMW either. Never mind, okay? So there's a balance somewhere. You can't say that we need to be poor and so forth. So my point here is that be assured that in Mahayana, okay, when you give and you know how to give properly, there's a multiplier. So part of the Dharma door of giving is that maximize that multiplier. So part of our teaching is guide you and give you opportunities to maximize your return. And when you have the blessings, they will manifest as they're supposed to manifest. Okay? And sometimes, believe it or not, part of your blessings has to go through failures first. Why? Why would you need to fail first? It's much easier to handle success after you know how to fail than to handle failure if you only know success. True or not? Okay? So that's why I feel that failures are very useful. You learn a lot more from it. And don't be heartbroken. Failure makes you better men. Okay? Questions or comments? Okay. So that's a dependent retribution, meaning the material world outside of us that we depend on for our existence, for our joys, our happiness, and so forth. That's outside. And also the proper retribution. Proper here refers to your body, okay? Your own body, okay? When for some of you, your proper retribution is kind of short. Huh? Some are taller. For some reason, we don't know why. Okay, but there's, that's part of our retribution. Okay, is that whatever you did, like I keep on criticizing my master, my Chinese master is short. That's what happens to me. I'm short. You see, so again, whatever we get is also part of our proper retribution. So we are good looking because we adorn the way places with flowers, with fruits and so forth. Okay, and that's what give us good looks. And so forth. So these are the proper retributions. All right? I have a problem with this back on slide 199, the word styled. I'm not sure the style is the proper word. Here is from a Chinese word that means called. Okay? So both called wonderful adornments. Okay? So what are wonderful adornments? The things that adorn are virtuous things. Okay, for us in like giving practice, how you behave, you carry yourself, and so forth. Okay, those are adornments. Wonderful adornments refer to the adornments that pleases both your mind and your heart. Okay, what happens to worldly people is that they are too attached to external things. So they're attached to cosmetics, attached to clothing, okay? And so what you see is empty forms, but there's no heart. And those don't last, okay? So adornment has both, it has to be both outside as well as inside. And you like that, okay? Then you have a chance to understand what wonderful adornments are. Questions or comments? Next, 200 text. In dividing meaning units and assigning chapter names, what caps the other section is called number 1.
分异类以彰品名，冠群篇而称第一。
All right, 201. So the master Qingliang says he's very scholarly. He's very erudite, and he's a little bit scary in a sense, especially to scholars. So he says this sutra here needs to be structured. So that's how they're dividing the different sections, dividing meaning units. If each section carries a meaning, has a purpose. And when you have this section, then you divide them and you assign chapter names. And then what caps the other section, meaning that the one that on top, okay, caps at the top, okay, is called chapter 1, okay. That's what he's talking about. So in general, 201, this title of the sutra, the Great Means Expansive Buddha Flower Adornment Sutra, that's the exact name for the sutra, complete name of the sutra, okay, complete title of the sutra, has very profound meanings. It's kind of scary, actually. I don't care how smart you are. You think yourself smart. You look at this name, Great Means Expansive Buddha Flower Adornment Sutra, you'd have no clues what it means. And I prove it to you. Great refers to the substance. Okay? you don't know what a substance is, I assure you. Okay? I just proved right there from the first word, you stupid. Okay? Anyone knows what a substance is? See? I rest my case. Don't you dare raise your hand. Okay? Substance here refers to your Buddha substance. You have a Buddha substance that you don't even know about. You have no idea what it is. You have it, and yet you don't know what it is. And you think you're smart. You think you know it all. Think about it. See how limited you are. Yes, Gray. Green.
Is substance T or Xing?
Substance here is T, not Sing. Sing is nature.
Right. So when you say it's Buddha's substance, it's faulty.
Yeah.
Okay.
The substance of this sutra is great. Okay? We're talking about depth here, folks. Okay? When you talk about substance, it's depth refers how far, how deep you can delve into the substance of what we're talking about. Okay? And right off the bat, you don't even know what we're talking about. That's how shallow you are. All right? So, number 2, means, refers to marks. What are we talking? What kind of marks are we talking about? All the things that can be observed. What can be observed? We're talking about, let me prove to you how limited you are. I know you think you're smart, you're so cool, I know. You are so smart, you make good money and all those things. You're richer than we are and all those things. Okay? The marks here we're talking about are the things that the Buddhas see in the universe. He sees something, a galaxy, 10 billion galaxies away from us. He sees it. Can you? You need a Hubble telescope to gaze into our own galaxy. That's it. The Buddha sees the entire universe. So speak about limited. You spend your life, your entire life, devote your entire life excelling into what? I don't know. I have someone who had earned a PhD in statistics. Okay, pretty smart, yes? So I asked her, how many million people are there in South Korea? She says, I don't know. Okay? My point here is that we devote our lives going after acquiring knowledge, okay, that we can't even get to the end of. Okay? In terms of worldly knowledge, whether it's in engineering, whether it's mathematics, whether it's physics, whether it's medical science or whatever, okay? There's no way you know everything, okay? And yet, and so we are cornering ourselves into failing eventually to master our field of expertise. Whereas, so we know that we cannot possibly master our field of expertise. Agree or disagree? That's worldly knowledge. Whereas in Buddhism, when we go into study Buddhism, Mahayana style, is in order to master it. If we don't master it, we won't be happy. So worldly knowledge, you limit yourself. You say, there's no way for me to ever know everything there is to know about science. But in Buddhism, you learn about Mahayana, you will eventually know everything there is to know about Mahayana. Okay? Yeah. So in particular, the marks here refers to everything observable in this universe. Buddhas can see them all. He describes all the marks in the universe. What for? In order, not just any marks, because it's endless. You can go and describe it, and describe these marks until the end of time. You never have enough time. But these marks here, what's special about them that are described in the sutra are the marks, the things observable that will help you become a Buddha yourself. How's that? Or a God yourself, if that's what you wish. Or an arhat yourself, if that's what you wish. Or a rich person yourself, if that's what you wish. Don't know about cryptocurrency, by the way. Just to be clear. Okay? But what matters is that all these marks here are judiciously conveyed to us in order to help us open our inherent wisdom. So far, so good? Okay, number 3, expansive. What is expansive? Expansive refers to the function. What function? Okay, listen. People keep on telling you that Mahayana is about developing your wisdom. Yes? Okay? Buddha's wisdom. Buddhism is about helping you develop your wisdom, increase your wisdom. Okay? What for? Yes, yellow. Get out of the cycle. Get out of the wheel reincarnation. Why? Anyone else? Can we have something more fun? Huh? I know that's what the Vietnamese and Chinese talk about. I want to get out of the cycle. I say, yeah. As if it's going to happen today or this lifetime. Get real, come on. Huh? The wisdom so that, to me, wisdom matters because it makes life more fascinating, more fun, more worthwhile. Because if you have wisdom, and can you be depressed? No way. You have wisdom, you cannot be depressed. If you have wisdom, can you be unhappy? No way. If you have wisdom, you cannot be unhappy. You're unhappy because you are not wise. That's why. You disagree clearly. Think about it. What's the point having wisdom? You're unhappy and you're unsuccessful and you are poor and you are so disappointed in yourself and you're disappointed in your own son. How can you have wisdom if you're like that? Think about it. So wisdom is in order to get what you want. Yes or no? Okay, so if you want to go to the heavens and take a look at the heavens, what the heavens are like, okay? Wisdom will enable you to do that. Okay? You want to be rich. Warren Buffett has wisdom, by the way, that you don't have. So it's unfair to you. Okay? When he does investments, he has insights from his wisdom that you don't have. That's why it's very much easier for him to make more money than you. See that? Wisdom is very useful. So, wisdom has a function of helping you get what you want, get what's important to you. Wisdom is meant to be applied. So wisdom is, the Buddhist wisdom has a function. Okay? What function? Get what you want at all levels. For you, you want your family to come to the temple, please. Okay? Wishful thinking. It doesn't make them happy. You wish for the impossible. So Buddhism actually is very practical. Buddhism helps you develop wisdom so that it's useful to you. Useful is function, the use or the function of wisdom. So far so good. And the function is expansive, meaning that that wisdom can be applied in so many aspects of this world, of this life, of your life. All right? Otherwise, it's only theory. It's not practical. Buddhism is very, very practical. All right? Number 4, Buddha. Buddha refers to the ultimate prize, the ultimate fruition. Okay? When you become a Buddha, it is so rewarding. You're so happy that nothing can parallel that. Okay? That's the ultimate prize, if you will. Okay? People are in the world, they like to have more money, they like to find love, they like to find, I don't know, what do people want? Success, happiness, and so forth. And what they don't realize, they don't dare dream. That's the case where this is a typical example of limiting yourself. That they don't dare dream of becoming a Buddha. They don't dare dream of being the big kahuna, being the getting the big prize. Why settle for less? If you in your mind settle for less, you say, I'd be happy if I become a billionaire. Okay? To you is a big deal. And that's why all you can do, the best you can do, is become a billionaire. Okay? You don't dare challenge yourself. You don't dare reach higher. Buddha is the highest level of attainment, the highest level of happiness for you. You'll find out. You don't believe me right now. Okay? Especially Daniel says, I believe in my God. I don't care what you say. Yeah. Believe in your God. And when you become a God yourself, when he becomes God himself, he says, there must be something better than this. Then he'll remember my word. I told you so. Number 5, flower. Flower refers to the cause. What cause? Part of us the reason we lecture to you, we spend the time to do all this Dharma propagation is to help you plant the cause for your ultimate success. Okay? In order to be successful, you need to prepare for them. In order to prepare for them, preparation, Buddhism is called planting the seeds, planting the causes. Whatever you want to do. You want to go to the Pure Land, we help plant the cause to go to the Pure Land. You want to be near your God, we help you plant the cause to be near your God. You want to be a guru, we help you plant the causes to be a guru. Okay, all those things. So all the causes, whatever you want in this universe, we help you plant the causes for those. Okay, and number 6, adornment refers to knowledge. Okay, the knowledge, worldly knowledge, if you will. Okay, all the worldly knowledge. And finally, number 7 sutra refers to the most profound Buddhist teaching. So this title here gives you an overview of the scope of this sutra. Okay, as we investigate this, each one of you will find the things that will interest you. Okay, and you will be challenged to raise your goals higher and higher and higher. That's what I found in my personal experience. Okay? And this sutra is very challenging. It frees you from your own self-limitations. Okay? Don't settle for less. Questions? It's very quiet today. Okay. 203, text. This sutra has 39 chapters. This chapter comes first. Therefore, it is called the Great Means Expansive Buddha Flower Adornment Sutra. The World Rulers, Wondrous Adornments of the World Rulers, chapter number 1.
思经有39品，此品见出，故于大方广佛华严经释主妙言品第一。
204, commentary. This sutra here, the total of this sutra has 45 chapters, and 6 of them are not transmitted from India to China. Okay, but it is still the complete teaching. The Buddhist teaching, every single sutra has 3 sections. The preface, okay, introduction to the sutra. It tells you, for example, who was in the audience, what kind of people that attend would dictate the kind of teaching the Buddha is going to give you, where it is, okay. If the Buddha went to the heaven to speak some of these chapters for his mother, by the way, his mother, Lady Maya, died after she gave birth to Shakyamuni Buddha, and she went up to the heavens, sat up there, and so the Buddha, in some chapters, flew up to the heaven to speak Dharma for her. Okay, so when he went up there, he spoke the Dharma as appropriate for heavenly beings. All right, so that's what the preface gives us an overview, gives us a introduction to the range, and the text proper refers to the actual teaching. For example, when the Buddha taught bodhisattvas, okay, and arhats and practical Buddhas about enlightenment in a prajna teachings, then he explained them on the various Dharma doors, taught them various Dharma doors on how to become enlightened, the various levels of enlightenment. Okay, so that's where at the meat of the teaching is for this particular type of sutra. And finally, transmission is that the ending of the sutra says, after you understand the sutra, you learn the sutra, you know how wonderful it is for you, and then now behooves upon you to transmit it, to help propagate it so that others can also benefit as well. We're doing the same thing. I'm personally doing the same thing as well. I stumbled upon Buddhism out of chance, okay? And I found it so useful, found it so wonderful that try to repay my teachers' kindness, my benefactors, by transmitting that knowledge and pass it on. Okay, so that's what sutras are about. You give you an introduction what it's about, you teach them what it's about, okay, actual teachings to help you get there, and then finally encourage you to transmit it, to pass it on once you master it. Okay? It becomes a responsibility actually. Okay, so, and there he talks about the first chapter is world rulers, wonderful adornments. You be floored by these world rulers. They're so blessed, they're so rich that their adornments will floor you. They're wonderful adornments. All right? So that's the first chapter we go into later. Questions? Okay, keep on sleeping. Okay, we still have half an hour. Okay, carry on. Don't worry about me. I'm doing just fine. Thank you. At least the Koreans are awake. Okay, and I look at the inter-temple transmission. I see it that Wei Mountain, where I'm from originally, is almost full. I'm so proud of you. Still representative of our temple. All 8 of you. Very good. Oh. Okay, so this sutra here, you can talk all you want. Wei Mountain question, go ahead.
Master, all of these manifestations as the first ruler when the Buddha become enlightened, do they happen simultaneously right after he become enlightened?
What manifestations? Oh, there's
Like,
the countless manifestations. Don't worry, you know. The manifestations usually occur because they try to impress you. Okay, they try to teach you something, and so don't be impressed by that. In Buddhism, we don't talk about manifestations because it's too many of them, and then nothing. Okay, to us, it's nothing at all. All right. This Flower Adornment Sutra has many miracles that's recorded. So I went through a few of them for you nearing the end of this preface section here. 205, in the Tang Dynasty, Emperor Taizong, Tang is an era in Chinese history that the country is very prosperous and very powerful. And they have many, many talented emperors. Okay, one of them is Taizong. Okay, and the emperor asked Xuanzang, a very famous monk, which was the biggest sutra he could recite. You see, he's an emperor. He says, "What's the best sutra? What's the number one sutra I should recite? I'm the emperor. I'm not going to settle for less." So Taizong told him that it's a Flower Adornment Sutra. Okay, so in other words, this sutra here is worthy of the most powerful emperor at the times. Okay, and that's what this emperor did for entertainment. He didn't watch Netflix. He recited sutras. That's his wisdom. Think about that. Okay? So at the time, this monk called Shikshananda was a very famous monk who translated this 80 rows of the sutra, only 80 rows, when a prajna teaching has 600 rows. And so Taizong asked, why is it the biggest? It only has 80 rows, whereas prajna teaching has 600. And Xuanzang replied, he says, it's the biggest sutra because one door can open in inexhaustibly multi-layered, limitless Dharma doors. Whereas prajna is just one Dharma door inside of this sutra. Okay, what does it mean? It means, remember, we talked about Dharma doors. This sutra here will give us an abundance of Dharma doors. You can choose to practice. Doesn't matter what you're interested in. If you're interested in whatever about Buddhism, they all contained in here. And you can choose one door, one particular method of practice. One door means one Dharma door. One Dharma door can open in countless, endless, multi-layered, limitless Dharma doors. So one Dharma door can branch out into limitless Dharma doors, first of all. Okay? And it's multi-layered. Okay? And the nature of wisdom, that's the nature of wisdom, by the way. Wisdom is multi-layered. That's why this sutra is multi-layered. What does it mean, multi-layered? Multi-layered meaning that the same teaching, the same one teaching, one sentence of teaching, has many levels of depth you can penetrate. The sutra, the level of depth in the sutra is countless. You should be impressed. I know you're not, but you should be impressed. Okay? And therefore, Emperor Taizong exclusively recited the Flower Adornment Sutra. Okay? It's fit for an emperor. That's the point. You want to open the mind of an emperor, the most powerful emperor on earth at the time. He chose to recite the Flower Adornment Sutra. So far, so good? Number 2, it's about important manifestation of a pair of youth. In the Jin dynasty, a Dharma master made a first translation of Flower Adornment Sutra. Remember, Flower Adornment Sutra is known in Buddhist circles as the sutra, the king of sutras. It's by far the biggest sutra, the most important sutra in Buddhism. Okay, so it's not surprising that many monks would try to translate it. Okay, many different types of attempts. So during the translation every day, in the pool in front of the hall, the 2 youths arose bounding and leaping, holding fresh flowers. They approach him, holding incense, lit and offered to him. The people who have spiritual eye could see them. So he himself, as he was translating the sutra, he can saw these 2 youths dancing and jumping, having a good time in the pond, in his yard. And then he saw the 2 youths approaching him with flowers in hands as offering to him. This happens a lot because to express admiration and to plant blessings it's typical in the Buddhist circles for you to make offerings. Okay, so that's why you see flowers here, you see fruits here, you see incense here. That's a very Buddhist sort of practice. Okay, and so not only this, again, not this monk here, but also the other people in the temple who also have the spiritual eye, and they could see the two youth as well. Okay, youth here refers to young boys. Okay, like the angels in Catholicism. Okay, in Buddhism we call them youth, so because they manifest as cherubs, right? Something like that. You know what you call cherubs? Okay, the little boys with the, like that boy with a little bit of wings right there. Yeah. Okay, so that's what then they saw, and so these youth were making offerings, and. So the explanation was that the people who have wisdom explained about these two youth. The Dragon King, who's downstairs in the great ocean, he was very happy. Dragons have kings too. Okay, the many dragon kings. This particular dragon king is very happy that this sutra, Flower Adornment Sutra, was transmitted to the human realm. Okay, and by the late patriarch Nagarjuna, so he sent his son and grandson, and they manifest as youth to make offerings to this monk who was translating. This group of people are translating the sutras. Okay, so that's was recorded by the old monks back then. 207. There's a monk called De Yun. Okay, in Buddhism, please be careful. Okay, in Buddhism, we put a lot of emphasis on monks to spread the teaching. We don't like lay people to spread the teaching. That's Buddhist convention. Please don't ask me why. That's what the Buddha says. I will depend on the monks and nuns to transmit the teaching. Okay? So this monk here was named De Yun. He specialized in the Avatamsaka practice. Okay? Whatever it means, probably recited the sutra himself. Or some people practice it by reciting it. Some people, like Master Shewa disciples, that one famous disciple, he bowed to every single character of the sutra, Chinese character. Every day he would bow and bow and bow and bow. Okay? And so Master De Yun built a pure garden where he grew trees of paper, mulberry bark, and fragrant grass, and have flowers between them. He would bathe before coming to the garden, wearing clean clothes, and that was washed using fragrant water. Okay, so that he built up this pure practice for himself. And 3 years into his practice, the tree emitted fragrance, and then he made a brush with the tree wood to write this sutra. So that's his practice, is to write this sutra. Back then, there's no printing press. So in order to recite the sutra, you need to read it, and someone has to transcribe it for you. Okay, so it's a laborious process. So this monk here, as soon as he wrote several lines, each handwritten character started to give out light that illuminated the garden. So each single character emitted light. Okay? And an immortal who held a lance right there in the small photo right there, right there. So there is immortal. There's some spiritual being appeared, and he held his this weapon and standing guard of whatever that monk were written or transcribed. And furthermore, a youth wearing a greenish apparel descended from the heaven to offer heavenly flowers to the scripture. So a spiritual being came out holding a weapon, standing guard of the transcribed sutra, incomplete transcribed sutras, and the youth who went down from the heavens and offered flowers. Heavenly flowers, not just regular flowers that we have here. Okay? I never seen heavenly flowers, so don't ask me what they look like. Okay? But apparently they're nicer looking than our flowers. Okay? More fragrant, better looking. Okay? So they offer heavenly flowers to the scriptures, not to the monk, by the way. So the monk doesn't matter. Okay? Shouldn't say that highly of this Dieu Nga here. Okay. We still have time. Next, mixed manifestation. There's a monk by the name of Bian or eloquence. At a young age, he served Master Yu, and he practiced the Avatamsaka Sutra Dharma, Avatamsaka Dharma. And after a long time, he's still not enlightened. Okay, according to Master YongHua, he added, the great master, he added this monk here, Bian eloquent, Master Eloquence, recited the sutra for 16 years. He still could not memorize the sutra. And he kept the sutra and protected it, keep it clean by using a fragrant case. And he would carry the case on top of his head to show his respect. And he did it for 3 years. One night he dreamt of universal worthy bodhisattva teach him the profound meaning. By the way, in Buddhism, when you learn Buddhist sutras, Buddhist scriptures, and you don't understand the meaning, bodhisattva, this bodhisattva by the name of universal worthy would appear and teach you the meaning, explain to you meaning sometimes to some of these lucky people. Didn't work for me. I had so many questions. Maybe my level is too low. But apparently this is a known thing in Buddhism, by the way. So this one night he dreamt of this great bodhisattva teach him the meaning of this Avatamsaka Sutra. And since then on, he is able to memorize the sutra. Okay? So this is another miracle. 209, another miracle, if you will. In the Tang Dynasty, Dharma Master Xian Shou started lecturing the Flower Adornment Sutra after this Venerable Sikshananda translated the 81 rolls. 80 or 81 rolls. And 2 months later, at the chapter called The Seas of World Systems of Flowers Treasury, where the section where the earthquakes, at the same exact time he got to that level, his lecture at that point, he actually was a quake at the monastery. And the Empress Wu Zetian, one of the powerful empresses, the only empress in China, by the name Wu Zetian, very famous, big supporter, Dharma protector of Buddhism, knew about that because she was reported to her. So this is recorded in the Chinese Buddhist, the Chinese historical records. Okay? Carrying on, 210, another miracle, the Tang Dynasty, Elder Li moved to the capital city, Taiyuan, and he used to live in a mountain home with servants, and he shaved his head, okay? And, I'm sorry, not shave his head. So he left his mountain home, and then he met a tiger on the way who seemed to be waiting for him. Okay, and he says, I'm going to write the Avatamsaka explanation, find me a shelter. And the tiger carried the old monk, the elder, the elder meaning it's a lay person, and and the bull meaning he's a monk. Okay, so he carried the elderly and both him and the bull, and walked for 50 kilometers to an earth cave, and there's no water supply nearby, so that night a strong wind uprooted a large pine tree, and there's water that flowed forth, clean and sweet. Okay, and so this elderly wrote explanation of the sutra, and two girls who are exceptionally beautiful fetch water, burn incense, provided brush and paper for him. And at 7 a.m. would come to serve food for breakfast and stop coming when he was done. So people, when you involve the sutra, whether it's transcribing, whether it's making commentaries, spiritual beings would come and make offerings to your work in progress product. So far, so good? And there's more. In 211, during Northern Ji period, third grandson of the emperor went to Mount Wutai, the 5 peaks, to burn the bodies offering to Manjushri. The Chinese like to do that. They burn their own body parts as an offering to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. YouTube question, go ahead.
Tran asks, was the tiger a golden one?
I don't know. Why do you ask? Well, we're waiting for the answer. And there's a eunuch called Liu Qian, in the entourage for this third son of the emperor, was impressed by the emperor's son brave act. When you burn your body, it hurts a lot, as you can imagine. Okay, a lot more than when you become a eunuch. So no wonder this eunuch was impressed. Can you see the connection now? Only a eunuch would be impressed, because we wouldn't be impressed. I don't know what pain is. But eunuch said, ooh. I remember. Never mind. You don't find it funny. Okay, you're not supposed to be funny. So he was so impressed, he says, I want to make offering too. Okay? But my offering will be different. I will offer my life instead of my body. Okay? Very special. And the emperor granted. So this eunuch recited the Flower Adornment Sutra day and night. Okay? That's how the Chinese used to practice back then. Unlike you, who come to the temple learning Tran, expecting to become enlightened, otherwise you'd be disappointed. Yes? These people, all they have is this sutra here. And I said, no one teaches me, so I recite it. Okay? No guidance whatsoever. You really are in samadhi, aren't you? Okay, so after a while, he grew a beard and became more masculine. I don't know what that means. And became enlightened. Okay, so, and he became enlightened even. And he wrote a Adornment treatise, very famous one. And when he completed that, he died without illness. Okay? When you enlighten, of course, it's easy to die without illness. Yes, yellow.
The Tang Dynasty people are really, maybe even Master Xionghua's disciple, practice the reciting the sutra a lot. Seems like that's a main method of practicing it. Does Master recommend that?
Could you repeat, please?
It seems the Tang Dynasty people recite the sutra a lot as a main way of practice it.
Right.
Does Master recommend us doing that?
I never recited it, so I can't recommend something I never did. But if you insist, I would recommend it.
So maybe the better question is, what's the best way to practice it first?
I never practiced it, so I imagine there must be some good ways to practice it. What do you want? There's something called etiquette, where you know I can't answer, don't ask me. God, you sleep for most of the time, and then you ask me a question I can't answer. Go offer some flowers or something. Yes, Blue.
A Di Đà Phật. Con có cái dịp là con về Việt Nam á, con mùa hè rất là nóng nhưng mà con chờ máy bay không có được. Thành ra 1 tháng trời chờ máy bay là con 1 ngày con lại 800 lại trong cái lúc mà nóng nhất ở Việt Nam. Thì về đây thầy thấy vậy thầy cho con nhập. Thì sau khi 1 tháng lại Phật rồi thì Hòa Thượng Dieu Nga tới. Ăn cơm trưa con nằm ngủ chút xíu thì Hòa Thượng tới giỡn rồi dạy con rồi. Về đây thầy cho nhập thất, cuối tuần này cho nhập thất. Thì thầy cũng không có dạy cái pháp môn nào, tự con chọn. Thầy chỉ dạy con là không có được ngủ nằm thôi. Thì con ngồi suốt đêm ngủ 12 giờ đêm. Sáng 4 giờ sáng thức dậy, 12 giờ đêm đi ngủ. Thì trong thời gian đó là con tụng 6 thời thủ nhãn. Và lần đầu tiên trong đời con tụng Kinh Quan Nghiêm này nè. Tức tụng thủ nhãn xong rồi thì ra tụng lấy Kinh Quan Nghiêm đọc giống mình đọc sách vậy. Rồi ăn một buổi trưa thôi. Rất là happy. Đó là kinh nghiệm con đọc cái kinh này. Lần đầu tiên trong đời con đọc kinh này.
Master, a few years ago, I went back to Vietnam, and while I was waiting for the airplane ticket, back then it was in the summer and it's extremely hot in Vietnam. So while waiting for the airplane ticket, I was bowing 800 bows a day for a whole month. And then after a month, I saw Master YongHua appear and then talking and joking around with me. After that, I went back to the U.S. and Master allowed me to enter the retreat. You didn't really instruct me much. You only tell me that sit, sleep. And then every day I went to bed at 12 midnight, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I recite the hand and knife 6 times a day, and then in between I recite this mantra. This is the first time in my life that I read this mantra. Similar like you open a book and you read. And then I ate 1 meal a day, and you know what? I felt like extremely happy. That's my personal experience with this sutra.
Okay, all joking aside, I highly recommend that you recite this sutra. I recited the sutra about 3 times. Okay, when I was at Long Beach Monastery, when I was in a Chinese temple, my Chinese master encouraged us not to sleep after lunch. See, the Vietnamese, they like to take a siesta after lunch. That's our style of cultivation. So it's very, in order to combat the sleepiness, I would walk around the Buddha hall after eating and read the sutra, okay? In Vietnamese, 25 years ago, there's no Flower Adornment Sutra in English, only Vietnamese. The only version that's available for the sutra was in Vietnamese, and the Vietnamese translation is incomplete and quite often inaccurate. And this monk there, it's very famous Vietnamese translation, a set of 8 books, cost, I think, around like $100 or something. Okay, so that's all you have. This monk here, the Vietnamese monk, very famous one, he truncated the sutras. If he feels it's repetitive, he truncated the Vietnamese translation. So the sutra itself is incomplete. The translation is incomplete. So that's all we have. So I would walk around the Buddha hall. I was in Long Beach for about 2 years. So I walk around Buddha hall every day after lunch, okay, for 40 minutes, half an hour, every single day. And I would read the sutra and stop when the time is up and continue the following day. In doing that every single day, except for the weekend when we had people coming over to the temple, during the weekdays, it's us only. So I would recite it every day, and I was able to do it 3 times, the whole sutra 3 times. Okay, I highly recommend it because just the mere fact you recite it, it transports you into a different world. What does it mean? You know, I use these words to you because you read that, you hear that from a lot of people. It transports you to a different world. Yes? You heard that before? Huh? No. Okay, well, only in English. And so what it means is that the mere fact you recite that continuously without thinking, without planning anything, you make it a habit, you enter samadhi. That's what it means. A different world is a world of samadhi. You lose track of time, you can walk, you enter samadhi. Okay? This sutra is very, very powerful. Okay? You read it, it transforms your soul, transforms your mind. It's fantastic, trust me. Okay? So I did that. I highly recommend it for you. Because I did that because the other option is for me to bow to it, every single Chinese character. And you probably heard it, I hate bowing. Ask me for anything, but don't ask me to bow. Okay? Because egotistical people hate bowing. That's a fact. If you are full of yourself, you hate bowing. Agree or disagree? See, I'm the only one. I'm really full of myself. So I refuse to bow. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you say. I remember going to the bowing specialist, Master Sheo, a disciple who bowed as a living for a while. He bowed. So he taught me how to bow. I was like, wow, impressive. Okay, that's when I was a novice. And later, and I realized why I didn't like bowing. Because he taught me the way he bowed. I didn't like it at all. because bowing is not like that. Okay. Anyway, so you can bow to it, you can recite it. Okay. By the way, if you practice the 42 hands and eyes, will help you understand the sutra, by the way. At many different levels, meaning at your lower level, you understand at that level, and you understand at a high level as your kung fu increases. Okay? That's what happens. And there's many ways to practice this particular Dharma door. But I like the simple fact that because it's proven historically that you simply recite it. To me, after a while, it becomes so captivating. It is fun. I look forward to reading it after lunch, walking around and allowing my lunch to digest naturally and enjoying the sutra. Just read and read and read and read. It's fascinating. The sutra is so powerful. Okay? And finally, to give you a flavor, in this sutra here, one of the major reasons why I was planning on explaining the sutra, maybe not the entire sutra, because I know it would take forever the way I explain sutras. But there's some portion of the sutra here that are very important Dharma doors that my master, Master YongHua, didn't have a chance to transmit to us. Okay? And it has to be transmitted to, it should have been transmitted to my generation. It wasn't. That's why if it's not transmitted to my generation, it's very difficult to practice. So that's why it's my hope that I promise myself that before I die, I will at least transmit it to you so that you third generation would have a much easier time to practice. Okay, so part of our explanation is for that purpose, is to transmit those Dharma doors to you. Those critical Dharma doors will make it easier for you in your spiritual practices. All right. So in fact, in a long haul, I probably will spend the rest of my days trying to explain the sutra chapter after chapter after chapter after chapter, because we won't have enough time to even finish it. It's not possible. Okay. Especially if you keep on sleeping after lunch like this, it slows me down. Okay, I have to repeat this again next week. Okay. You keep on dozing off on me, I repeat the same thing next week. It's not a threat, I never threaten. Okay, so anyway, and finally, the scope of our practice, okay, is actually the Avatamsaka Sutra. That's in honor of my late teacher, Chinese teacher. He gave us, my generation, the flavor of this wonderful sutra that the previous patriarchs, did not for their disciples. And because of that, my generation, most of my senior Dharma masters, monks and nuns, they all love this sutra like I did. And I got it secondhand. They actually practiced under the guidance of my late teacher. So they're much far better off than I am, okay? That's a fact. But I believe that this sutra here is complete Dharma doors has all the Dharma doors in Mahayana. So that's why our practices are modeled after those Dharma doors. Okay? All right, so that's why, in other words, for the rest of, for the next, in the foreseeable future, we'll be investigating this sutra. It's inexhaustible sutra. Because once you have the flavor of this, I don't feel like going to smaller sutras. Seriously. Okay? All right? Okay, time is up. Thank you all. One question here, orange, before we quit.
A Di Đà Phật, kính bạch thầy, con xin đại diện cho các bạn đồng tu xin sám hối là trong lúc thầy giảng thì nhiều khi không có chú ý, nhiều khi ngủ gật. Thì con xin có một cái đề nghị này, trong lúc thầy giảng đó, mỗi một bạn đồng tu nên hỏi một câu hỏi. Khi mình chú tâm vào câu hỏi và chú tâm vào cái câu giải đáp của thầy thì cái cơn buồn ngủ nó sẽ qua đi. A Di Đà Phật.
Master, I would like to represent the assembly here to repent to you because during the lecture, sometimes you lecture and then we doze off, we didn't pay attention. So I have a suggestion. How about each of us will come up with a question and then it will help us to focus on the question and listening to your answer. Then we will not dozing off.
Very good. I'm so pleased to hear that suggestion. However, I prefer not. Because it wakes you up, but then would terrify me because I can't answer your questions. So it doesn't help. Okay? Honestly, I was actually secretly happy that you're not here or not paying attention because then you won't ask as many questions. Okay, but thank you very much. You're one of my favorites, but don't ask questions. Thank you everyone, let's do a reverse transference.